Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. Today is stage 21 of the 2023 Tour de France. It's the last stage of this year's tour, guys. You know what's in store. It is the Champs-Élysées. They're going to do 8 circuits on the Champs, and it's going to be a parade for 115 kilometers all the way to about 55 kilometers to go. Now, during this parade, we know it's going to be Jumbo-Visma getting pictures together because Jonas Vingegaard is going to win this year's Tour de France. We'll see the picture with his team, and then we're going to see the next parade picture up here with all the jerseys lined up because we got a spectacular race this Tour de France, and these guys deserve a little bit of quiet time to get their legs going again until we start getting under about 60 kilometers to go. About 55, 58 kilometers to go, they start leaving the river and they're crossing over. Then all of a sudden we'll see them get into the Louvre at 57. They'll go past the Louvre, exit the tight doors there, come out single file line with Jumbo-Visma leading the train here at the European Peloton Tour de France last stage on the Champs. With Jumbo-Visma on the front, we see them go into the cobblestones here on the Champs. That's with 55 kilometers to go. Once they cross the finish line here on today's stage 21 of the Tour de France, it's Julian Alaphilippe attacking up the road. Now, if it wasn't my man Victor Campenaerts that's going to win the most aggressive jersey here at the Tour de France in 2023, I'd give it to this man, Julian Alaphilippe, because he is spectacular, and he's putting in another dig right when the attacks start proper here on the Champs. Now, with that, we start seeing it get brought back, and then on the same first lap, just as we're coming to the finish, Tadej Pogačar throws in attack. 300 meters before he crosses the finish line. On this first lap here, we're going to see Nathan Van Hooijdonk bridge up to the Slovenian. These two guys start driving it with only Tadej Pogačar really pulling. I saw Nathan Van Hooijdonk do one pull, but then we're going to see a group of about 8 more riders come together just as we're coming out of the left turn right there by Joan of Arc. Once we passed Joan of Arc's statue, the French champion here, she was 17 years old when she was the French champion defending France. And 2 years later, they burned her at the stake, so hopefully this isn't what's going to happen to Tadej Pogačar. Now he's going full gas, and he's got 8 companions, and one guy sitting on Nathan Van Hooijdonk as we got 10 guys up there. They'll get brought back with 33 kilometers to go, and then 30 kilometers to go, we'll see Simon Clark, Free Zone, and my old teammate Nelson Oliveira from Movistar going up the road. These 3 riders are going to get the gap up to pretty close to about 20 seconds. All the time being held from the peloton behind, being led by Alpecin de Koenig, Jayco. These 2 teams are at the front all the time. Then as we start getting into late into stage 21, we'll see Trek Segafredo and Intermarché join into the chase and up there of the 3 leaders. These guys are going to get brought back with about 10 kilometers to go. Once they cross the final lap here, crossing at the finish line here on the Champs, they got 7 kilometers to go to figure out who's going to win the last prestigious sprint stage here at the Tour de France. Up front, who do we got there? Well, Trek Segafredo, we're driving it. Then we see Israel Premier Tech come to the front with 1 lap to go. After Israel Premier Tech were on the front just for a split second, attacks are coming all over the place. Movistar's throwing in everything they can with just under 1 lap to go. They'll go over the top of the Arc de Triomphe, come down the backside. It's 3.5 kilometers to go. That means we got half a lap, and the peloton is compacto right now with 3.5K to go. We look up front, we see it's Uno X on the right side of the road coming down the cobblestones. Look just over to the right, a little further back, that's Trek Segafredo's Alex Kirsch and Stuyvesant. Look 1 spot behind them, that's Mads Pedersen. He's getting pinched off and he's losing Stuyvesant's wheel. Up front, take a look at Alex Kirsch, the lead-out specialist from Lidl Trek. He looks back over his shoulder, realizes he might have to wait just a little bit before he punches it, and as he's waiting, Mads Pedersen is going to just find his way, salmon right back up onto the back wheel of Stuyvesant. Now up front, Jayco Lula are coming into the river, making the left turn as we go on to the final parts here on stage 21. It's Jayco Lula on the front. Jayco Lula's got some guys up there, but they're losing power fast. They'll drop off. Trek Segafredo's Alex Kirsch, he'll get on the front, and now he's selling out 100%, trying to keep Mads Pedersen in great position. He is not trying to get Mads Pedersen to the last 800-meter corner here on stage 21. He's trying to keep them in fantastic position until they get swarmed later before that last 800 meters. So Alex Kirsch, he started on the middle of the road. He went to the right. He went to the left. He goes back to the right, and then he's going to dive into the left turn that's going to leave the river before they drop under the tunnel. Back up just a little bit with that left turn starting proper. Let's look back where Albacine de Koenig's Jasper Philipsen is. Jasper Philipsen's given the elbow over there to the X rider Soren Varnskald there, trying to make a little space so he can stay on his teammate Matthew van der Poel's wheel, who's following his teammate Jonas Vingegaard, and they're just a little bit back off of the front. Now we go down the tunnel. We see it's Trek Segafredo's Alex Kirsch on the front. He's going into 1.8 kilometer to go, left turn. That's Joan of Arc there. I already told you she got burned to the stake. Don't want to make a mistake right now. If I take you back a few years back when Mark Cavendish was trying to break Eddie Merckx's record, he had lost it and got burned to the stake at this 1.8 kilometer mark when he was way too far back in the peloton, and it cost him any chance of breaking Eddie Merckx's record. We know Cavendish's story here at the 2023 Tour de France. Almost won a stage but skipped his gears when they quit working properly for him, then crashed out of this year's Tour de France, so he never got a chance to break Eddie Merckx's record. Now up front, we see Alex Kirsch. After making that left turn from Joan of Arc, he pulls off. It's time now for Liddell Trek to go to work for Stuyvens. Stuyvens is on the front for just a little bit, and then he starts getting relieved as we see Jaco Alula's Luke Durbridge. Durbridge is pulling 100% on the front, going from 1.5 to about 1.2 kilometers to go. Then we look over to the right in the gutter there. That's Tadej Pogačar, the Slovenian, that's coming up fast. He's got Mate Mohoric, the other Slovenian, on his wheel. If I take you back to last year's Giro d'Italia, remember it was Geraint Thomas, the British rider, leading out Mark Cavendish, who won that stage 21 of the Giro d'Italia. Well, now we're at the Tour de France stage 21. Mate Mohoric is trying to follow Tadej Pogačar's wheel. Look over to the left as Jonas Vingegaard's coming up from Albacine de Koenig because he's got his lead-out man still back there, Matthew van der Poel, with Jasper Philipsen about 4 or 5 wheels back. Now with Jonas Vingegaard coming up, Stuyven's going to give the elbow there to Jonas Vingegaard as Tadej Pogačar starting to lead the front. Once Stuyven gets done giving the elbow there to Jonas Vingegaard, who won the battle, he'll go up and slot on to Tadej Pogačar's wheel. Now back to film up just a little bit though, and we see Stuyven's, after he got done giving the elbow, he went over to the right and he ended up bumping there with Mate Mohoric. Well, Mate Mohoric won that too, and he comes out onto the wheel of Jonas Vingegaard up front. Tadej Pogačar's leading out Jonas Vingegaard. We're going under 1K to go, and the Slovenian is still putting on a show here up front. Now, Pogačar pulls off about 900 meters to go. We're coming into the last and final turn here on stage 21 of the Tour de France period. As we're entering the cobblestones at 800 meters, it's Jonas Vingegaard leading out. He's got Mate Mohoric sitting second. Alexander Kristoff, X, is right up there at the front. Mads Pedersen's at the front. We look a little further back. Matthew van der Poel, Jasper Philipsen, and we look just behind Jasper Philipsen, that's Dylan Groenewegen. Just over to the side of Dylan Groenewegen, that is going to be Bora Hansgrohe's Jordi Mayus and Coquard. Brian Coquard's in the mix. Biniam Girmay's not far back. And we look up front with Jonas Vingegaard coming out of this last 800-meter final corner of the Tour de France. He's going full gas to about 900 meters to go. Then he pulls off. He's done. The Albacine de Koenig rider's done all he can. Mate Mohoric hits out 100%. He's going all the way into about 700 meters to go. Now we see Alexander Kristoff try to pass Mate Mohoric with about 700 meters to go, but he can't quite squeeze by. Mate Mohoric was fading to the right. We see Alexander Kristoff yell, "Hey, hey, move out of the way." Something like that, I'm sure, maybe in another language though. Then we see Mate Mohoric look back. He moves over to the right. As he starts moving to the right, it's now time for Matthew van der Poel to go to work. He hits out 100% with everything he's got at about 450 meters to go to the line with Matthew van der Poel going full gas. We see Dylan Groenewegen and Jasper Philipsen bump just a little bit. Jasper Philipsen gets the wheel there of his teammate Matthew van der Poel leading out full gas. Dylan Groenewegen will slot in behind Jasper Philipsen. And then we see Mads Pedersen. Mads Pedersen a little bit deeper into this final stage 21. He'll slot on the wheel of Dylan Groenewegen. Behind him, there's a host of characters, but Jordi Mayus from Bora Hansgrohe's locked in behind there. And we're going to see the X rider, Soren Varnskald, that's in there. Now we see up front, now with Matthew van der Poel going full gas, we're hitting about 250 meters to go. It's time for Dylan Groenewegen to mix up the recipe. If we look back at stages past, when Jasper Philipsen's won 4 stages here at the Tour de France, it was Matthew van der Poel doing a spectacular lead out so fast that no one can accelerate. Well, Dylan Groenewegen's hitting the front and going hard at 250 meters to go. At 200, he's side by side with second place there, Jasper Philipsen, and he's blocking him in. He's got no place to go whatsoever. And then Jasper Philipsen is going to get blocked in because once we see up front there with Dylan Groenewegen, he's going to pass past first place Mathieu van der Poel and start leading here at the Tour de France Stage 21. Now we look, there's 3 wide just behind Dylan Groenewegen. Mads Pedersen is on the left side of Jasper Philipsen, and on the right is his lead out man Mathieu van der Poel. So Philipsen's locked in. He can't sprint yet. He's got to wait till his lead out man Mathieu van der Poel backs off the throttle and opens up the gap. As that's happening, Mads Pedersen starting his sprint at about 175, 150 meters to go. The Lidl Trek riders going hard on the pedals. We look over to the left of him. Well, that is Jordi Meeus from Bora Hansgrohe. Where is he coming from? I don't know, but he has flown high right here on the final stage. Now we look up front. Dylan Groenewegen's going full gas. He's coming under about 100 meters to go. Lidl Treks. Mads Pedersen starting his acceleration. He's going full gas. Jasper Philipsen's going to start his acceleration going to the right there. Then we're going to see Jordi Meeus come up. Now, once we get up to 75, 50 meters to go, we got a 3-way lead from Jordi Meeus, Mads Pedersen, and Dylan Groenewegen with just a hair off on the right side. That's Jasper Philipsen, but he's still accelerating, going full gas. Now they start going curb to curb wide here, 4 wide. When we hit 25 meters to go, 10 meters to go, they're still 4 wide. Jasper Philipsen solidly into the picture now. 5 meters to go. Jordi Meeus, the first to throw his bike. He throws it as hard as he can, head down, arms extended out as far as he can. 2 meters to go. We look all the way over to the right. Jasper Philipsen starts throwing his bike. They cross the line. Dylan Groenewegen yells out a huge roar here on the final stage on the Champs of 2023 Tour de France because he got third, not first. Now we got to wait just a little bit longer because nobody knows for sure who won. Look over there, Jordi Meeus, when he crosses the line. He thinks he got it won. Look all the way over to the right side of the road. Jasper Philipsen, he's still in the aerodynamic position throwing his bike because he's used every bit of energy he has here on stage 21 to try to win. Now, moments after that, we figure out who wins. It's Jordi Meeus from Bora Hansgrohe that wins today's stage on the Champs. One of the most prestigious victories you can have as a sprinter. So Bora Hansgrohe, who held off Sam Bennett from the team roster here at the 23 edition of the Tour de France, they win with Jordi Meeus with a bike throw. That was magical. Guys, I take you back to that bike throw. Basically, I think it was just the bike throw and everyone's legs were so tired that the aerodynamics that he had being so smooth, that last meter before the line is what won him today's stage. You look over to the right side, Jasper Philipsen, 10 meters, 15 meters after the line, he was still in the bike throw position because he was done and dusted here to get second on today's stage of the Champs. Now we start looking at the general classification favorites. Jumbo-Visma jumped off with about 3.5 kilometers to go on today's stage to take it in safe. So they'll cross the line way back, but everyone was given same time, so no risk of any general classifications changing. During the race, we saw, of course, Jai Hindley, who was sitting 7th on the general classification, have a bike issue. But other than that, all the general classification guys finished safely, so the top 10 won't change. When we see the podium celebration, we see 3rd, Adam Yates, UAE Team Emirates. Look over to the other side of the podium. That's Tadej Pogacar. 2nd, back-to-back here at the Tour de France. Look on the top step, Jonas Vingegaard, the #1 rider on the butterfly effect. Now, guys, when the Tour de France started, I didn't think there was any chance that Jonas Vingegaard could have even moved up from 4th to 3rd and dislodged Remco Evenepoel. Jumbo-Visma left off Primoz Roglic off the roster, so they didn't have to battle with him. Remco Evenepoel's not here, and Tadej Pogacar was coming from a broken arm. Granted, he looked like he could have some form, but when the Tour de France started here, I was like, there's no way I can have Jonas Vingegaard go into first up here on the butterfly effect. But that magnificent stage 16 individual time trial win, smoking everybody with an on-form Tadej Pogacar, who beat 3rd place Wout van Aert by 1 minute and 13 seconds. And then Jonas Vingegaard beat him by 1 minute and 38 seconds. And rode what I thought was an absolutely flawless Tour de France here in 2023, with the exception of that stage 6 that Tadej Pogacar won after Jonas Vingegaard pulled him up the Tourmalet and then down some of the Tourmalet, and then of course pulled him up the final climb, Cambasque, where Tadej Pogacar brought some more time back on him. But other than that stage, I thought Jonas Vingegaard raced individually magical. I didn't like the way their team raced just about every stage that they had here at the Tour de France when they were sending guys up the road all over the place. Because when we look at the last mountain stage yesterday when Sepp Kuss crashed, you can understand why I say when you look at the day before that and they have Christophe Laporte and Thies Benoot in the front group, now you have Sepp Kuss crashing on the next day on the final mountain stage. That's why I'm always trying to be protective of the race leader's yellow jersey and the general classification. But Jonas Vingegaard throughout the 2023 Tour de France, man, you were something spectacular. Your form in the individual time trial is amazing. Your form going up Col de Mary Blanc when you drop Tadej Pogacar, spectacular to put a minute time into the Slovenian here to put yourself in the race leader's yellow jersey from stage 5 all the way till the end here of the Tour de France on the Champs. That's why you're the #1 ranked rider on the butterfly effect. Team classification goes to Jumbo-Visma here when the Tour de France is said and done. We look at the KOM. Ciccone, you were something spectacular, attacking at all the right moments throughout this year's mountainous stages at the 23 Tour. And then we look at the sprint competition. Jasper Philipsen with 4 stage victories had a display of force to win 4. I think he should have won 6, but Jordi Mayus certainly won a spectacular day here on the Champs and deserves to be standing up on the podium like we see in the picture here, because you were fantastic to come from the back and beat everybody at the line with a long, spectacular bike throw. Now, last guy I want to bring up, of course, my man Victor Campenas, most aggressive throughout the 2023 Tour de France. Congratulations, Lotto Destiny rider. You put on a show. You did not disappoint me. So when we break everything down in the 2023 Tour de France, Jonas Vingegaard moved up to the #1 spot on the butterfly effect. Loved your riding. And guys, we got more dilemma. I thought I was ready to take a big break, and this would be the hardest month that I was working at this year's 23 season here was at the Tour de France in July, but it was announced Jonas Vingegaard will do the Tour of Spain. So Jumbo-Visma are trying to go for the trifecta. They won the Giro with Primoz Roglic. Of course, they won the Tour de France with Jonas, and now Jonas and Primoz Roglic are both going to go to the Vuelta a España to try to win all 3 Grand Tours in one season. Can Remco Evenepoel hold off those 2 guys? I don't know. Right now, you have the #1 rider on the butterfly effect, Jonas Vingegaard, going. The #3 rider on the butterfly effect, Primoz Roglic there. #4, Remco Evenepoel is going to have to battle against 2 guys from the same team. Now, when I'm sitting up here on the podium, all I'm thinking, Tadej Pogacar, rest up and please, for the cycling gods, give him some legs and change his mind and go to the Spain. What a coup that would be to have the 2023 Tour of Spain start with all 4 riders on the roster. And when I'm sitting up here on the butterfly effect, I'm telling you guys, the only way Tadej Pogacar can get himself back up to the #1 rankings on my show anyways, he's going to have to go to the Vuelta, drop Jonas Vingegaard, Primoz Roglic, and Remco Evenepoel at this year's Vuelta a España. And then the Slovenian Tadej Pogacar, you're #1 again on the butterfly effect. If Jonas Vingegaard didn't crash before you dropped him at the Tour of Spain. Otherwise, Jonas Vingegaard is going to stay #1 ranked on the butterfly effect. I would assume, unless I'm wrong, like I was here at the start of July 1st with Jonas Vingegaard, that Jonas Vingegaard will finish out this year's 23 season #1 ranked rider on the butterfly effect, with Tadej Pogacar knocked down to #2, Primoz Roglic knocked to #3, Remco Evenepoel knocked down to #4, and Wout van Aert, the big guy, well, he stays #5. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next edition real soon on Beyond the Coverage or the Butterfly Effect edition.